You know, when I go to the beach, I'm pretty happy there. It's easy to have joy there. Doing my taxes? Not as happy, not as joyful. You know, Christ said there would be things in our life that would be difficult, hard. He used the word tribulation. And you know what? Sometimes we get the idea that when we come to Christ, everything's going to be perfect. Well, here's the deal. Things are going to be great because we have Christ to help us. That's what I want to talk to you today about on The Bottom Line as we start in a new series called Enjoy the Ride. This is Sunday, March 12, 2017. Enjoy the Ride series. You know, recently I had the opportunity to speak to someone who was just incredibly, effervescent. They were just so happy, and something in them really spoke to me that, man, they have joy. And it's not fake joy. It doesn't disappear when you go away, but this is the way they live their lives. And what I saw in them is what Christ believes for all of us, that we should have joy in all circumstances. But that can be so incredibly difficult. It is hard because the fact of the matter is we live in some circumstances that are difficult, that are challenging, that wear us down. And truthfully, it's a lot easier to be upset, frustrated, or mad than it is to be joyful. But Christ has given us the capacity to be joyful today because He has overcome the world. We're starting a brand new series here at San Jacinto Assembly called Enjoy the Ride, and it's out of the book of Philippians. And 14 times in those 4 chapters, Paul talks about joy. Now, Paul is talking to his church that he planted. He's been away from it for about 10 years. But what makes Paul talking about it so interesting is the fact that Paul is writing from prison. Now, I don't know what circumstance you're in today. Maybe you are in prison. But many of us are in prison because of our own making, because of things that we've done in our lives and our thoughts that have us locked down, or our circumstances have us locked down, and we're not prepared to move forward. So we might as well be in chains. But Paul is physically in chains, and he is saying to them, hey, be joyful in all things. Oh my goodness. You know, the most powerful thing that Paul says in the book of Philippians, I believe, is to live for Christ and to die is gain. In other words, everything about me lives for Jesus. And if I die, that's an amazing thing. So foundationally, it's so important that we recognize that Jesus isn't an add-on in our life, but He is our all in our lives. And when we do that, then we can beat one of the greatest fears. I've been told that public speaking is one of the biggest fears for people, but next to that, I think death is something that people really fear. And so when we can say to die is gain, we overcome that death thing. And when we are free from death, from that idea that this is just really the end, and we know that now we're going to go live in eternity, it totally changes the way we live our lives in the present. We're much bolder, and we certainly are happier, and we're joyful. So Christ puts everything into perspective for us because He is the foundation. He says, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all of these other things will be added to you as well. So when we really believe that He is a way to provide, then we can move forward. The other thing we need to remember today is life is not about me. That's hard, because we often get very hung up on what's going on in our lives, and we can become so consumed that we can't even see the hurt or the pain that other people that have around us. Sometimes we're sitting with someone over coffee and they're pouring out their heart, and the whole time you're hearing them pour out your heart, you're thinking to themselves, man, they have no idea how bad my life is. And you're not even really listening. You're there in the present, but you're not listening. You're disengaged because you're just so consumed with yourself. It is easy to become consumed with yourself, but when you die to self and live for Christ, then you know what? You can be available to hear, to listen, and to minister. Jesus came to die. We know that. And because of that, we can live that way as well. We can die to our own things, our pressures, our concerns, and everything else, and recognize to live for Christ is an amazing thing, and we can give that to someone else. And finally, there's something about having that joy in our life that makes us happy people. Excuse me, I don't know about you, but I meet a lot of sour, dour, grumpy, critical people. And you know what? I know we all have bad days, and we're all guilty of maybe being negative and everything else. But truthfully, I don't want to hang around negative people 24 hours a day. You don't either. And you know what? You don't want to be that negative person 24 hours a day. Because you know what? If the joy of the Lord is my strength, then I need to lean on that understanding and allow that to be the reality of my life. You know, when we really have the joy of the Lord, you know what happens? Amazing stuff happens. Number one, it changes our attitude. It really just changes the way that we think. It puts a smile on our face. When we recognize that God really is in control, then we can stand back and stop worrying about all the stuff that we're worrying about and realize that God has a way. He will make a way in a powerful sense and beyond our own understanding. God can do that. And so we need to laugh. We need to smile. You know, when President Reagan was shot in 1981, March 30th, as a matter of fact, one of the things he said as he was being wheeled into the operating room, he looked at all the doctors and he said, "I sure hope you're all Republicans." And why that's funny to me is in a critical time, he brought levity to a situation, and that brought hope to all the people in that room. It said, hey, we're in this together, we can do this, brought a smile to their face, and I guarantee you they worked way better had he gone in that room yelling and screaming that, you know, you better save my life and everything else. No, he didn't do that. They already knew that's what they were supposed to do, but his ability to make people smile and laugh allowed them to do their job more effectively. When you can smile, when you can laugh and bring people along, you help encourage them along in that which God has called them to do. Hey, I hope you enjoyed us in this series. Enjoy the ride. Again, we'll be looking at Philippians, and so spend some time reading Philippians over the next few weeks, and you'll be greatly encouraged through this series. Be joyful. Thanks for tuning in.